Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Phoebe and this is Moonshine Stitchery, a YouTube channel about cross stitch. So today I'm going to be doing my regular 2-week update. This is the last Flosstube for April, and next month we'll be starting my Mania, which the way that I do Mania is I stitch on a different project every day of May. At least like for 2025, it'll be the first 25 days of May. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. So first I'm going to start with a finish, and then I have my whips for you. I don't think I had any new starts these last 2 weeks. But we'll look at whips and then we'll talk about plans. And I don't have any haul today. And at the very end, we'll talk about books. So if you're interested, that will be at the end. And if you're not, you can head on out. So first of all, happy Easter for everybody who celebrates. Today I'm filming on Easter. We went to church and now everybody's having like a chill down time after candy and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and film. So I hope you're having a great day. Grab your stitching and let's chat cross stitch. Okay, I'm excited to let you know that this is my finish. This is Pretty Little Paris from Satsuma Street. I talked to you guys in my last video that I was gonna try to finish this up, and I just stitch on this 1 day a month on the 10th because my husband and I's anniversary, which actually is April 10th. So I stitch on this piece. It reminds me of the trip that we took to Paris a couple years ago. And this is stitched on some 16 count Aida that I over dyed this fun sage color, and it's with all of the call for DMCs. So this is Pretty Little Paris. So thus far I've done Hawaii, London, and Paris. And actually those are the 3 places that Tim and I have traveled to together. So I think that my next anniversary stitch is not going to be one of these in this series. I have another project picked out. It's actually a full coverage, but in May I'll be doing Mania, so I am not going to start that till June probably. So I finished this on April 12th. So just a couple days past my actual anniversary. We celebrated 15 years together this year. And this is stitch 2 over 1 on the Aida, and I love it. So there's that. And I just had this one finish this time. Let's talk about my daily stitch. I have 2 strand a day stitch that I do every day, and I usually pick my oldest whip and then I work, and then like when that's done, then I move on to the next one. So currently my oldest whip is Hello Halloween from Brian Jackson, if I can get this to go. And we are at 70%, my friends. I'm using Markup XP on my phone and it's making it so much easier. So all of the letters are in now, is that right? Yeah, so now I'm just filling it out and I'm just getting all of the stitches in. This week I worked a lot on this back, these half stitches that are going through with all the back of everything. So I just do 2, this is 2 over 2 on this 28 count Lugana. This is under the Sea Fabrics, I forget what it's called, but it's really pretty. It has some pinks and blues in it, and I really like this design. And so I'm at 70%, so we shouldn't be working on this too much longer. I'm really getting a lot done here. So yeah, I really love it. If this kind of stitching interests you, I highly recommend you check out his PDFs at Love for Cross Stitch. I'm really enjoying myself. So not too much farther left to go, and then I will probably make a wall hanging, a nice horizontal piece. I don't know if I'm going to frame it or if I'm just going to make a wall hanging out of it. So anyway, this is my 2 strands a day, and before I stitch on anything else, I stitch on this in the morning. And so I take 1 long thread of DMC. This is all the call for DMCs, and I fold it in half, and then I do a loop start, and I do 2 of those every day. So I learned about 2 strands a day stitching from my friend Sarah's Stitchy Spot, and I believe she learned about it from the Monogamous Stitcher or the recovery monogamous stitcher, and it really works for me. So I would like to talk next about the most recent whip that I was stitching on, and this is Oh Joyous Day. This is another whip that I have in common with Sarah from Sarah's Stitchy Spot. Sarah, are you finished or are you super close to finish? I forget. But this project is such a fun stitch. So this is from Blackbird Designs, and this is on a piece of 28 count casual linen. So this is a lot bigger. If I was doing this on my regular 40 count, you know, it would be like that small, but I am loving this so much. A lot of it has to do, well, the design is just gorgeous, but I also really love the flosses that I'm using, so I'll show you that in a minute. But that whole first top banner is done, and then these two are completely done, and then this pot and flower is I did not want to put this down. In fact, I might stitch on this some more this next upcoming week because I was having so much fun stitching on this. So basically half of this alphabet here is new, and then everything below it is new. So so it's 2 over 2 stitching. And I just love how this one has satin stitch and Algerian eyelets and Smyrna crosses, and it's just a lot of fun. So this is what I was doing right before I set this down. I was doing the border, the outlining of this big bird right here, and then we'll go in and fill that in. So this piece of casual linen is just, I overdyed it with some soft rose. It's like a warm tan rose. And here are the flosses that I'm using. So basically, when I kit this up originally, I found any of the called for overdyes that I had. So a lot of the weeks I had, but then anything that I didn't have, I put in here a lot of things that I've overdyed. And then I have some Forbidden Fiber Co. And then I have a Be Stitch Me silk in here. And yeah, so it's Forbidden Fiber Co. and then Moonshine Stitchery flosses and 1 Be Stitch Me. So these are just been really, really fun to stitch with. And I actually do have some of my dyed flosses on the Moonshine Stitchery website. If you are new to my channel, I dye linen, and I have started dyeing floss. Well, I started dyeing floss a while ago, maybe even before linen. No, around the same time. But I've just started listing it. So I have a sampler rainbow on there, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But I think that I want to get some of these colors made up for the website too, because I just really, really love them, and it's making stitching this project so fun. So I want to pop some of these colors up there too. Like especially this one I'm using for Red Pear is really, really pretty. And then I'm not using Weeks Putty for a lot of the vining and like these little accents in the sky. I wanted it to be more green, so I'm using one of my flosses to make it more green and less drab, just because that was my preference. So let me show you the sampler rainbow flosses that are on Moonshine Stitchery right now. So here's the first floss pack that's available on my website. These are my hand-dyed flosses. These are 10-yard skeins. They are pre-cut. So I already have them in the length that I like to stitch over 1 over 2 in. So if you wanted to loop start, it wouldn't necessarily work with these unless you did a much shorter, length, or you could just pull 2 strands. So anyway, this is my sampler rainbow. So basically I have some nice bright colors, but they're all muted just a little bit. So if you still need some bright, but you don't want bright, 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 so I wanted to make a little sampler rainbow. So we have bubblegum and peaches, pineapple, pistachio, cotton candy, and lavender. And these currently only come as a set on the website. So this is $30 for these 6 skeins, and they are all 10-yard skeins. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know about those. Those are on the website now, which is always linked down in the description bar below, along with my linens. So if you wanted to try out some of my floss. So that's new to the website this week. I think in the last 2 weeks I stitched on less quantity, but more time on each thing. So On the 15th of each month, I get a new piece of this design, which as you can see is almost done. We have, this was just released, and then we're gonna have, man, this is gonna be cutting it close to the bottom. I'm just realizing. I measured this beforehand, but if I was thinking to myself that we only had this much left, one more. Okay, let's see. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Yeah, so I'm supposed to technically fit 2 on here. I may have to cut off the bottom of this design. Heidi is gonna be so annoyed with me when she hears me saying this in this video. I don't know how that happened, but it's fine. It's fine because I don't really like to be stressed about things like this when there are many more things in life to be stressed about that are actually consequential. And she'd be like, well, you stitched on this for 2 whole years and you're not gonna be able to stitch the bottom part. Well, you know what? That's okay, because like I said, it doesn't really matter, and I can cut off some of the bottom. Anyway, that was fun discovering that together. So in April, we actually got this piece, but I'm 1 month behind. So I did all of this. So it was like right at the edge of the darkened part of that barn there over, and it included this cute pineapple. And then we were like this. We started this cute little ice cream shop, and then this beautiful blue house. I love all the blues that she's got in here. And so I'm again stitching this on some 28 count Lugana. Actually, this might be 32 count. But that might have been what my problem was. Maybe I measured this as a 32 count, but it's actually 28 count. Anyway, so yeah, I worked on this on the 15th and the 16th and got all of that stitching in, and I'm ready. I could catch up this month because this is a smaller stitching portion, I think it said, but you know, it'll depend because I always want to stitch on all the things, so we'll see. This is a piece of Lugana that I overdyed to give it a kind of dirty road, and I did receive the request to dye something like this for the website, and I have recently ordered some 32 count Lugana to overdye, and I'm going to do a number of colors including grain, which it's not exactly like this, but it would give you a darker look like this. So anyway, I'm using basically all except for maybe like 1 color flosses from my stash, and I love it so much. For dark stitching that I did on the 13th, I pulled out Double Double Toil and Trouble from Plum Street Samplers, and I put in some progress on this on the 13th. So basically I was really just working on this house. So this portion was in right to there, and then everything over here is new. And I still have a needle in there, I need to grab that. So it was just a lot of outlining in that Blackbird. I'm using Blackbird from, is that Gentle Arts or, I can't remember. Anyway, oh, and I put this in. But yeah, basically all of this is new. This is a piece of fabric that I've overdyed. I might get this one up on the website for Halloween this year. I do have one Halloweeny fabric up. It's called Gourd. I like having fun fabric for Halloween. So anyway, this is 40 count. It is 1/2 with my own flosses from Stash on this Plum Street Samplers. I love this project. So there's that whip. My next whip is Susan Rambo. And this is a stitch along that I'm doing with Heidi from Whips and Kits and Michael from Davis Quilting Stitching. And we are all stitching this together, and we're all stitching it on Afternoon from Moonshine Stitchery. And I'm doing, I believe these are pretty much, yeah, this is all kitted up from Stash. Sorry, I had a brain fart. So this time I was basically just working on this squirrel. And I was just watching Lisa Kindred Stitcher's video, and I think she said she's going to change her squirrels, but look, Lisa, my squirrel's all done. He's pretty darn cute, and he has a rabid red eye, so. And then I did his whole little patch of grass or whatever that is below him, and then pulling this down. If you can't tell, I am not a border completionist all at first type of person. I'm way too impatient for that. So I like to just bebop around. This butterfly is also new. So, and I think a lot of that is new. Anyway, I'm having a lot of fun with this. Lisa, if you're changing the squirrels, are you gonna change what's in here and put people's names that are in your family? I think I asked Heidi and Michael, and I think they're gonna stitch it as is. So I have some of the satin stitching in already. You can get this pattern in the CD. Oh, I forget what the CD's called right now, but it has a whole bunch of designs on it, and that's where this pattern came from. I will pop it on the screen. Anyway, so this is 1/2 on 40 count afternoon from Moonshine Stitchery, and the squirrel. That's what I was working on for a couple days, I think. Or maybe it was just one day. I don't know, but I really am enjoying it. So my 2 random rolls with you last episode, I rolled Oh Joyous Day, which you already saw, and then I rolled this Happy Morning from Plum Street Samplers, but in my head I got it confused, and instead I pulled out This I Know. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just stitch on both. But then I was having so much fun stitching on Oh Joyous Day that I didn't want to stop and switch and fulfill that random roll. So we're just pretending that I actually rolled This Happy Morning. So this time I was building out this chapel, this church building. Oh, and I did the peacock, yeah. So cute. Love the peacock. And then I popped in this star and this flower too. So it's slow going on this, but I am really liking it, and I don't know, just so much to stitch, so little time. So this is This I Know, so it's Jesus Loves Me, This I Know, which I really love. And this is stitched on some Moonshine Stitchery. This is the older piece that I dyed, and I don't have a notation of it being any particular color, so this is not one that's currently on my website. But this is similar to Rhapsody, but it has a warmer and even more yellowy base than Rhapsody, but that would be your closest to this one. So this is with all the called for DMC and specialty flosses, and that is This I Know. There's the peacock again. He's so cute. My last whip, I also spent a few days on, and I didn't want to put it down. I love this so much. So this is GGR, the Biedermeier sampler, and I'm stitching this one on a plain piece of 46 count cream because it's going to be a very dense alphabet sampler, and I wanted to be able to see all the colors really well, and I love this so much. So okay, this is all new basically. Well, okay, not exactly like that. And then this, and then this is all new. So I'm having so much fun stitching on this. Let me pull you in. So I was thinking to myself, I'm just gonna go all the way down the left-hand side because I wanna try out every new little band. But then I was missing this gorgeous red, which this is Cupid from Gentle Art, and I love it so much. I wanna do a whole sampler with it. And this is actually completely kitted up from Stash with the exception of like one floss or something. This really pretty one in here is Cinnamon Toast. It's so pretty. I have some Be Stitch Me in here. This bright purple is Be Stitch Me. The bright green is Mossy, and then this green is Avocado, I believe. Anyway, I'm having so much fun with this. So this is 1/2 on 46 count. Biedermeier sampler. If you fall in love with this like I did after just seeing it one time on somebody's channel and you want to stitch it, come stitch it with me. It is so, so fun. So this is going to be the width of it. I stitched it from border to border to see how far it would go. So that is my final whip. Biedermeier sampler by GGR. Just love it. All right, so those are all of my whips. Let's talk plans. So I do have specific projects I stitch on days of the month. So coming up on the 21st, so that's tomorrow, I'll be stitching on Fractal Flowers by Kathy Barrick. I stitch on that every 21st for my daughter's birthday. And on the 25th, I'm going to stitch on Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow from Carriage House Samplings. And then on the 30th, I will stitch on my other daughter's birthday piece. And this is Blackberry House from Plum Street Sampler. I'm very close to a finish on that. And then we'll be starting Mania. So here is a look at, actually let's pick my random draws first and then we'll look at Mania, because I'm gonna try to fit the random draws in before Mania starts. Does that sound like a plan? So the first thing I do is I pick a project from my 2024 Mania. So I have 24 projects in my list. So then I tap my randomizer and it's gonna give me a random number between 1 and 24. So number 6 is, that's funny, Toil and Trouble. And I am not mad about it. So I will work some more on Toil and Trouble. So here is my Mania 2024 list, which we're going to be referencing again here in just a minute when I talk about plans. So like last week, I rolled 17, worked on Oh Joyous Day. So I rolled a 6 and I'm working on Toil and Trouble. And then I pull a project from my whole whips and I use my Tiny Decisions app. It's supposed to black them out after they get chosen so that I'm stitching on everything, but I'm not sure that this thing works like super successfully like that. But the swans from Cottage Garden Samplings, so that will be wonderful. That looks like this. So you'll definitely see some progress on those two things aside from my 3 days that I have for the month that I'm gonna stitch on, and then we're gonna get into Mania. So my 2024 Mania looks like this. I'm going to be popping stuff up on the screen here as I talk about it. So if it has a dot by it, that means that I finished it. So something new gets to go into that spot. So She Sights a Bird is part of the Loose Feathers series. So as I've finished that, on that day, I'm going to start the next one in the series, which looks like this. So May 1st, I will be stitching on that one. Okay, so then if it's not already finished, I already know what I'm gonna be stitching. So day 2, so Mania 2025 is gonna look exactly like this with a few exceptions and one new thing added at the bottom. So day 2, May 2nd, I'm gonna stitch on Winter Rose Manor from With Thy Needle and Thread, which looks like this. You all know what that one looks like. And I've been thinking that I was close to a finish on that and it's just not happening because there's just so much stitching to be done on it. But you know, I'm not in any hurry. I do really love that piece. On May 3rd, I'm going to be stitching on Carolyn Manning's Sundown, which looks like this. Really, really pretty, different Carolyn Manning where it's not like the squares and the diamonds. These are vertical and linear, well, they're horizontal and vertical stripes mostly. So that's fun. Then I'm going to work on the swans again. So that'll get lots of good progress. So I'm only stitching on each of these things one day. So it just gets one day of stitching, but it makes it so I touch all of these things and they get touched more in the year because I roll them every time, every 2 weeks. So on the 4th is the swans. The 5th is Golden Delicious. This is such a fun project. It's the only artsy housewife that I have going. I think it's her very first design or one of her firsts, and it's still probably my favorite out of everything she's ever designed. So I will stitch on Golden Delicious, and then I will stitch on Toil and Trouble. Let's see, are we to the next episode yet? Yes, we're already past next episode. I'm going to be filming on May 4th. So I'm going to film on the day that I'll be stitching the swans, but I'm just going to go ahead and go over all my Mania plans with you. So on the 6th, Toil and Trouble. 7, Summertime, I finished that. So that is a Primrose Cottage stitch, and so I get to put something new in there. I haven't yet decided which of my whips are going onto this project, but as I'm editing, I'm gonna pick. So I'm gonna put it right up there, what's going in here. So on the 7th is something new. Okay, on number 8 for Where Your Treasure Is from Abby Rose Designs, that looks like this. It's really, really cute, and I'm stitching it actually on a larger count, so it's going to be kind of big, but it's really fun. Then number 9, I have my 2023 Back to School Sal. So that's Ann Dale, and I have it in here in my number 9 spot. So that's a huge project. It's going to take forever to stitch, but I put it into my Mania so that it gets more stitching. It looks like that. That's from Shakespeare's Peddler. Okay, day 10, that's my Garden Prelude, which, as you know, I finished my Mirabilia, and I'm going to start Mary Mary from Mirabilia on this day. I do have some 32 count linen coming. I was telling you that I have 32 count Lugana coming, but I also have linen, and I'm going to dye a specific piece for Mary Mary, and I plan to dye enough to put 3 additional pieces up on my website if anybody's interested in stitching that on what I'm stitching on. Okay, on the 11th, I have Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, which looks like this. That has been a really long-term project, and I just, you know, don't seem to zoom on that thing, but that's okay. Then on the 12th, I have Emmeline Hotchkiss. This is a project that I was stitching with Audrey from Stitch Stitch Bead and Kim from Contented Needleworker. They started it, and I started it when they did. I wasn't like on the initial stitch along, but it's a really pretty design, and it looks like this. So, okay, the next day is the Dutch Steps of Life, and I need to decide if I'm starting the second band on that original piece that I finished the whole first band, and I was thinking about making it into a drum, and then once I finished it, I was like, oh, I actually really like this. Maybe I do want to start the second band on the same piece and have it be all together. So I need to decide before May 13th what I'm doing about that. If I want to stitch them all as individual drums, or if I want to stitch it all as one piece. So I got to think about it. On the 14th, we have Halloween Quaker, which I finished. So I get to put something new in there, and this is what I've chosen between now and editing. That's what's going to go on day 14. Day 15 is Hello Halloween from Sue Hillis Designs, and that is also finished. It is an adorable skeleton truck, and so I need a new project for that. And as you can see, I'm only starting, I started a new one because I want to continue this series here, and then I started Mary Mary, but the rest of the things I'm just adding projects in from my already current whips. So that's what I'm going to add into day 15. Day 16, the Vanity Sampler, which I'm using Cam the Stitcher's Vintage Goth conversion. I'm going to get a little bit more work on that. 17th, Oh Joyous Day, you are familiar with that. 18th, I have Bethlehem from Imaginating, and that looks like this, and it doesn't have that much very farther to go, so that one should be cleared off of here for the next year's Mania. 19, we have Vintage Christmas Alphabet. I have this in here as a whole series, so they are pretty quick. I think I have started E, and so they move a lot quicker, so unlike this one, I'm just kind of continuing it whenever I finish it, finish when I move on to the next one. I have the whole series bought, so I really love that. So that looks like this. All right, number 20, that's Leona's Sewing Box. This is the one that I'm working on for my grandma, Leona, and it is also close to a finish, so this will be gone by next Mania. And yeah, this is I'm doing it all monochromatically as a red heritage sampler. And next we have Hannah Campbell from Hands Across the Sea. That looks like this. So, so beautiful. I just saw Jordan, the tattoo stitcher, was sharing her progress on that. It's such a fun, fun stitch. Then we have 22, A Year of Celebrations. This one has been holding on for a long time, but I'm halfway done. So I just need to move on. I think I just did June, so I need to start July. And so I will be starting that on the 22nd. On the 23rd, I have Cardinal Points from Long Dog Samplers, and it looks like this. Very, very beautiful. And then the last project from last year was Hannah Elliott. This is Needlework Press. It looks like this. And so I need to add something for the 25th. I'm going to pull in something from my current whips, and it is going to be that. So those are all of my plans. So that's Mania, and I'm going to be starting a new page. So here is my Mania 2023, And as I finished stuff, I marked it off. And so then I just took those that were continuing onto here. So by my next video, I will be starting a new page and I will write down as I go for Mania 2025. I'm very, very excited. I love Mania. Stitching on something a different thing every single day is really fun for me and it's exciting. I don't know about you, but like the night before, I will think about what I'm gonna be stitching on the next day and it gets me excited to get out that project. So, I mean, I guess you can tell I really like stitching. So those are all my plans. Last up, we're gonna talk about books. And so if you are not interested in hearing about what I was listening to on my Audible while I have been stitching and working and all the things, then I will see you back in 2 weeks for my next video. If you do wanna hear what I've been reading, then stick around. So I am 7 hours from the end of the last book in the Crescent City series, House of Flame and Shadow. I'm reading this series with my friend Leilani, and since my last video we read books 1 and 2 together, and now we're in book 3, which those 1 and 2 were rereads for me, and this one is new content for me. So I did do this whole series and I am enjoying it. It is not probably my favorite of Sarah J Maas's series, but I do really like it. I think Bryce is really sassy and she is pretty fun. Besides that, I read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. She has another book called Love in Other Words, which I gave 5 stars to last year. This one, I think I give like a 3.5 stars. There were elements of it that I really liked that were like close to 5 stars parts, and then there were parts that I was like, ooh, I don't know that she really stuck the landing on this one. Basically, the plot is, oh, and I didn't talk about the plot of Crescent City, but Sarah J Maas writes romantasy books. So they're set in fantasy worlds, there's magical creatures and everything, and there's always adventure, but there's also romance. The Unhoneymooners, there are these twin sisters. One sister considers herself very unlucky compared to her twin. Her twin that she thinks is so lucky is getting married, and she won like all these contests to get everything free for her wedding. She even won a free honeymoon to Hawaii. Well, at her wedding, everybody that, there's something that happens. This is a cute book, so if this sounds fun to you, I think you'd have a good time reading it. But there's something that happens that makes it so neither the bride or the groom can attend the honeymoon. And so her twin sister is going to take her honeymoon for her so it doesn't get wasted on the sly, since they look identical. And this is an enemies to lovers book because one of the other people in the wedding party is going to take the male side of the trip and they are not friends. And so it's the hijinks of that. So that's The Unhoneymooners. I don't remember if I talked about Sunrise on the Reaping in the last book, but that's the prequel. It's the story of, it's Haymitch's story from Hunger Games, and I gave this one like a 3.5 as well. I wasn't that interested in it actually. In fact, maybe I'm gonna give it a 3 because I probably enjoyed Unhoneymooners a little bit more. I just haven't enjoyed any of the recent ones in this series. I really like her original books, but these recent ones I have not enjoyed as much. So I didn't dislike this book, but it was just kind of mid for me and just like kind of forgettable. So the other book that I have mid-read is Breath of Snow and Ashes by Diana Gabaldon. This is furthering in the Outlander series. I think this is book 6. And I don't want to say too much about the plot of that because if you haven't started the series, I don't want to give too much away, but I highly recommend. This is a series that came out, in the 90s, and a lot of it takes place in the 1700s, but also you're jumping forward to the 1960s and 70s. And I just have been really, really enjoying it. So I am like halfway through that book. So I guess I have a few things going at the same time, and that is it. Oh, I also started a reread of my Louise Penny series. Not mine, but I really love the Louise Penny series. And so I started the Still Life, is the very first one, I restarted that series. I really want them to come out with another season of the Amazon series that they did for the Inspector Gamache 3 Pines novels. And I really want them to continue that. I think that they did a great job. So if you've read those books and you didn't know that there is a television series for it, it has 1 or 2 seasons, I can't remember, but it's good. So that is everything. Tim and I we have a series on my other channel where we review movies and television shows, and there's so much television out there that we do this fun little bit where we watch 8 new shows every month, and we just watch the first episode, and we tell you after watching an episode if we think it's worth your time. So we do have a new one up over there on my Phoebe Moon channel. That's linked down in the description bar below. Everything that I talk about is linked down there if you want to go check it out. So I think that's everything. I hope that you're doing well. We are doing well. Not really going to go into a life update. It's just pretty normal. My college student's about to get out of college. I think he has like 1 week left and then finals. And then my kids finish up school on like May 24th, or, you know, my youngsters. And then it's going to be summer. And then it's going to be hectic and crazy. So yes, I'm just kind of like gonna savor May. I'm gonna try to savor it. So I hope that, like I said, I hope you're well, and I will see you back in a couple weeks. I hope that you get so much stitchy time. Take care until then. All right, see you later. Bye.